Hey folks, it's Chris, broadcasting again live from South by Southwest 2012 in Austin, Texas. I had to bring some stuff back to my truck, so I'm sort of retired in here away from some of the noise, and figured I had a chance to give you a quick broadcast. I was able to just set the camera, hook up the little tripod onto my steering wheel because of that little Velcro strap it has, so isn't that handy? Saw some interesting things at that O'Reilly booth where I showed you the 3D printer. I picked up a few toys to play with. I got this Arduino kit. I've been thinking about tinkering with Arduino for a while. We've got a few articles on there, but I've never actually tried it myself. Um, I have no idea how I'm going to be with this because I've always been more of a software kind of a guy, and hardware. I mean, swapping out boards and things like that, I'm perfectly comfortable with. But I don't know what happens when I start soldering. This will be an adventure. I'll keep you posted on this. I also picked up some books. They were having a nice little sale on some books. I got some things on getting started with Arduino. Figure I might as well. And also, there's another project called Yo-Yo. It's pronounced Yo-Yo, which is for uh, making devices that'll communicate with Android and that sort of thing. So I may be able to come up with some gadgetry for my phone, and some other things, just more about Arduino and just electronics in general. I've always wanted to tinker with this kind of stuff, but I just never took the time to get any good with it. And um, you know, maybe now's my time. Never too late to start something new. So the last session, I tweeted that I was going to be there, and the setup they had, for some reason, it was sending out the wrong information. It wasn't about branding. It was actually about what is the big idea in technology. And I expected the session to be a little bit more about where technology was progressing for musicians and artists, and that wasn't necessarily where the panel discussion centered. A lot of them were talking about the difficulties of bands marketing themselves in the new digital age, and who's doing it successfully and who's not, and what the struggles and problems are. But I had a chance to ask them a question. I said, okay, well, I have an audience of developers. So as artists, as musicians, what do you need? And there was some interesting information that came out of it. Let me grab my notes here because I want to make sure I get some of this as correctly as possible. Um, One of the things that came out of that was that in general, that's really the wrong question. If you think about it, when technology people, when developers tend to talk to someone about how to apply technology to their problem, there's this interesting phenomena that goes on. I've seen it in many different areas when people try to talk about the application of someone's abilities to things that they need to do, is that they only draw upon what they know. And if they don't understand what technology can do, or they have limited knowledge of what they think technology can do, then they're only going to talk about the things that they feel comfortable with, the things that they're going to get right. They don't want to ask for the impossible. They want to ask for something that they know can be achieved. So the idea is how to have that conversation in a way that is not limiting, but helps break new ground. So one of the people on the panel, his name was Jesse Von Doom, and he's from a company called Cash Music that is trying to work with technology and music. He said that the conversation really should be about what problems do you have. What are you trying to do? What isn't working? What struggles are you having? And that when we try to apply technology to art, that there maybe isn't enough conversation going on between the developers of technology and the artists who will use it. And so maybe we need more community involvement where artists and technologists get together and explore what kinds of problems that there might be that technology can be applied to, because you don't know what you don't know. One of the things that there was someone who had and I didn't catch his name, I apologize for that, but he was someone who represented himself as a strong fan of music. He was a consumer of music. And he says that right now there's a lot of ways where he can get hold of music. He can find all the free music he wants. He can spend hours and hours exploring in a particular genre, and that's very easy. What he doesn't feel he has is a good way to reward the artist, to pay the artist, to support that artist directly. Yeah, you can buy something through Amazon or iTunes or that kind of thing, but there's no way telling how much money is actually going to the artist. And that's the problem with a lot of the resources that we use to get music. It's as though every artist ought to have some kind of a button that you can say, hey, give this guy some money. Show a little love there. And maybe that's something that needs to be done. I know there are technologies that are being aggressively pursued. PayPal is one of the big brands when it comes to being able to share money electronically, but that's not really universally applied. I don't know if every artist is going to have a PayPal account and a little way for you to do that. And as we progress, there needs to be some thought given as to how are we going to approach those problems of connecting creators and consumers closer together, so that it's not a big hairy deal, it's not a big agreement, it's like dropping money in the tip jar. And for a lot of these people, it wouldn't necessarily require a lot of money. If everybody who supported the work of a particular artist gave them $5, $10, and it really was everybody, that could make a big difference, and it would cut out the middleman of the distributors. I know that it's not something that's popular with everybody, but we're at the stage of technology where artists and people who like the art ought to be able to connect a lot more closely together. And technology ought to be the key to that. The other thing that came up, and this is an area that I had never heard discussed before, but there was a lot of discussion about how artists aren't necessarily sure how to make best use of the technologies, and also how consumers of things like music, with the decline of artistic education going on now, and there is a decline. There's a consideration that some of those things aren't really intrinsically necessary for education. Things ought to be a lot more focused on job skills. Well, being able to appreciate and understand things like music, art, and those sorts of creative things, and why one is better than the other. If you're going to develop technology for those things, if you're going to consume those things, you're going to have value for those things, maybe you do need to know something about that. So maybe there's a way that technology could step in and help provide some of that education that isn't necessarily happening in the schools, that would teach someone as they listen to music something about the nature of that music, about octaves and harmonies and the different techniques that are there, and help people to understand more about what it was they were consuming. So it's not just background noise, but that they grow in appreciation of what they're consuming. And the more you appreciate something, the more you appreciate the value, and the more willing you are to support it. And of course, that goes always as well. People who consume technology the same way. How do we make sure that the artist who created that software gets appreciated? One way is you make sure it's all done by a big corporation, and you always support that by buying from there. But again, just like iTunes, Amazon, something like that, you don't know how much is going to the programmer who actually developed that idea. In the open source world, often there's no money going from a big corporation of any kind to the creator. And so it's very important to make sure that we create these avenues and make it very easy for people to find the originators of the things that they're using, that they want to support, and that there's an easy way for them to just support that. Click the button, send a little love. Hey, this is Chris Walden broadcasting to you live from South by Southwest in Austin, and I'm sure that I will talk to you again soon. Bye.